Welcome back to Talking Story. It is that time on a Sunday. We made it through another week, gang. It is time for our weekly reader check-in. Getting to be one of my favorite times of the week. We all slow down. We kind of sit down together and talk about what we read this past week, what we got coming up the week ahead of us. Just kind of mark time. I hope everybody had the absolute best reading week out there. Mine was pretty good, I have to admit. Since joining BookTube and getting recommendations from, you and other BookTubers, my reading has just taken off. It has been unbelievable, and this spooky season is no different whatsoever. I hope everyone has a frosty beverage out there. It is that time of a Sunday where we enjoy that before we start the new week. So what did I wrap up reading this week, guys? I wrapped up My Heart is a Chainsaw because every spooky season has to have a slasher. I've got to get a little bit of that. Got to get some of that in my life. This is Leslie Smith's At the Nerdy Narrative's favorite slasher read. There ain't no way I'm going against Leslie when it comes to horror. So I put this on my list, and I was 100% glad I did. I had never read any Stephen Graham Jones before, and boy, did this just perfectly scratch that slasher itch. It's such a love letter to everything slasher. If you have ever watched a Halloween or a Friday the 13th or My Bloody Valentine, or you came up when I came up watching movies and there was a new slasher flick every week, it seemed like. This references them all. What a great female protagonist. Took me a little bit to get into because it's a lot going on in her own mind, and she loves slasher flicks so much that she references the world through the lens of referencing these slasher movies that she has grown up watching. And very interestingly, her obsession with slasher films is to mask and hide and overcome some past trauma of her own, which I found to be the perfect cherry on top of this book that I was not expecting. A little bit of added depth that I didn't see coming. I thought it was just going to be a fun free-for-all. Mr. Graham Jones did not just go that route. This was absolutely some wonderful character work with past trauma. And I am absolutely all in for the second book of this trilogy called Don't Fear the Reaper, I believe. And then the third book comes out in 2024, which I will 100% read unless the second book just drops the ball, which after reading this one, I couldn't imagine it doing. But if you love a slasher movie, if you love the pace of a slasher movie, if you love the character development, if you love the rules, if you love the subversion of those rules in a slasher movie like Scream, this book is for you. Pick it up. There's still time left in this year's spooky season, or if not, think about maybe do the whole trilogy for next year's spooky season. But this did not let me down. Thank you so much, Leslie Smith at The Nerdy Narrative. After that, guys, I picked up my first lit RPG because Seth Ring was such a wonderful human and a very nice writer and a great dude to send me a copy of this. And I have never read lit RPG, but just look at the cover. This is spooky season material. So I wanted to pick it up in this season and give it a read. And you know what? I think I like lit RPG. I love gaming. I've been a gamer for years, and I've kind of fallen off because as the Dark Souls movement kind of takes over gaming, it's kind of leaving this old man behind. I thought it was an amazing way to get a narrative out there, but now it's so hard. I can't get the narrative. So I want somebody that just wants to tell me a story. And so all those trappings and dramatic devices from gaming, but just tell me the story. It's kind of exactly what I was looking for, and Seth does not disappoint here. This was very, very interesting to me. If you've ever played a game, this is so much like that, in that do I have a depth of character here? Do I know the main character, Garrett, the people around him, Rin and these other characters, do I know where they came from? Do I know their hopes and dreams and desires and aspirations? No, I don't. There's some mystery here, and there's some hinting that I do think Seth is going to come through on, because why else drop the seeds? But I don't. What I do know is that the stakes are incredibly high here, and they want to survive this game that is the life in this world. What an amazing, inventive world. But they just want to survive. I know that at a base level as this starts. And that makes everything very primal. And it makes everything like on the plot and everything else on rails. It just moves because it's at that primal level. Let me tell you a bit about this world. Think of that old Edgar Rice Burroughs classic, John Carter of Mars. He travels in Civil War times from here to Mars just by taking a nap. And it's kind of like that. This is operating on several different layers. This person has woken up after being badly beaten as at a coup at a castle, but he's also from Earth, our Earth. Somehow he's transported into this other scholar type the teacher for the prince in this royal family, and then there's a coup going on from the uncle, and the coup has happened, and there's only maybe one person left in the royal family, maybe not. It's kind of mysterious. And this tutor to the prince was badly beaten and left by the river, and a young girl, Rin, sees that maybe he looks like a noble, he could be a meal ticket, so she drags him into a room and tries to save him. And so from there, it's like from our Earth, somehow got into this body on this Earth, and now the other level where the game tends to happen is the dream world of this, where the coup happened in this palatial royal family. The dream world is where all the power is. So when Garrett goes into this dreamland and sits in the dream throne, it becomes like a God game. Think about The Sims. He can zoom in on people here, there, watch them, start to manipulate them to draw power as he chooses the path of the watcher. You can choose different classes, just like gaming. You could choose warrior, you could choose mage, you could choose this watcher, which basically turns life into a God game. And then we get into the theme of Garrett fighting his own inclinations of trying to make this game that is life the easiest can be for him, but not becoming an all-out villain and just manipulating everybody else and taking away their free will around him. And who's he playing against? In this dreamland, it's populated by nightmares. Think about these Lovecraftian nightmares, hulking, huge, Godzilla size at some points. And they're so dangerous. Just to gaze upon one of these nightmares adds experience points to your column and lets you move up in power. So it scratched such an itch for me. I have not been gaming in quite a while because, as I said, I got old man thumb. I call my malady old man thumb. So I haven't been gaming in quite a while, but this scratched that itch so well. And I love that this is the first book in a series. The second book is already out. I contacted Seth and asked him. The second book is out, ebook, and I asked him if this will be coming out in paperback as well, because I absolutely want to continue, because there's mysteries that abound in this book. At the end, we have a bit of a cliffhanger. There's a new status quo for our characters, but there's a war on the horizon. I absolutely want to see what happens in the future, and I want to see what happened in the past of these characters on our realm of Earth and how he got drawn over here. Just been hinted at, I find very interesting. So he did say this will have a paperback release. I am absolutely going to continue with this, and I'm absolutely going to look a little deeper into some other lit RPG, because I found this just fun as all heck. Now, did this move like other books, other literature? Like I got backstory, I got character motivation, I got, again, all very primal. They just want to survive. And it just absolutely worked for me. If you're a gamer at all or want to check it out, want to check Lit RPG out at all, I would absolutely recommend this from Seth Ring. Or he's got several different series out there, some of them with like 10 or more books in that series. If maybe this doesn't sound like it, maybe check out his other stuff and see, because there's other tonal shifts in his stuff. So Thank you again, Seth, so much for sending this to me. I absolutely enjoyed it. I absolutely will be continuing my journey into Dreamer's Throne. And then continuing through spooky season, I picked up and have just started, I'm probably just about 30, 40 pages in, Reunion by Christopher Farnsworth. Now, this is one of my tried and true writers. Anyone that looked at my vampire list saw I listed Christopher Farnsworth work. He is the writer of the President's Vampire series, where there is a vampire that is a secret agent for the answering only to the President of the United States. It's really, really fun and great. And Mr. Farnsworth is a screenwriter. So think about Stranger Things or your funnest show, and that's how these books read. They are great, great popcorn fun. Pop the corn, guys, when you crack open a Richard Farnsworth read, because that is what you're going to get. This one, and I wanted to delve into a little bit of cosmic horror before spooky season is gone. This one, it deals with, think about your Hardy Boys, your Scooby-Doo gang, your Tom Swift, your Nancy Drew. Pick a favorite young person standing in the way of an encroaching evil. That was the 4 kids we're dealing with here. One, an actual wizard or a young wizard on the way of learning. One, a warrior princess that was from another world, and they're all thrown together in a small Midwestern town, and they stop an evil. Now they're grown up, and that town changed drastically when all these 4 kids moved away. And they're being called back for the 20th high school reunion because that evil is coming back around. And they're all going to come back and have to finish what they started and battled as children. A little bit It-like sounding, but I read some of this, and oh my God, what a great, great scene. The evil now is reborn, and it's in this Midwestern town, and the babysitter comes over, and the newborn evil is playing with some Legos on the floor, and the babysitter's watching him, and it's like, oh, that's really cute. What is it you're building? And he holds it up, and he says, well, this is you. Well, that doesn't look like me. No, this is you on the inside. This is everything that makes you, you. Everything that makes you tick. Everything that makes you a person. This green one right here, this is all the memories of your daughter. Takes it off, drops it on the floor. Her 5th birthday, what it was like for you to give birth to her, what it was like at her wedding, all that is gone. And little by little, he destroys this babysitter by tearing apart this puzzle as she watches. That is the kind of good, cool shit you're going to get when you read a Christopher Farnsworth novel. So this has started off great. I think it's going to combat for my book of this year's spooky season, and it's going to combat along with the Jonathan Marbury zombie stuff. So that kind of takes us in, guys, into what I will be reading this coming week. And this coming week, I am going to try and wrap up the entire Jonathan Marbury, after I finish Reunion, zombie apocalypse. And I should be able to do it in a week, guys, because this is a 2 books in one, and only one half of this is the Jonathan Marbury zombie story, and this is a book of short stories that I think should read really quick, and that should tie up all of the Jonathan Marbury zombie apocalypse goodness. And if I wrap that up, that means before the end of the year, I can get to Kagan the Damned, which is Jonathan Marbury's epic fantasy that happens 50,000 years on this earth after the zombie apocalypse, when magic is rearing its head and civilization is coming back. And it's kind of supposed to have like an old Robert E. Howard sword and sorcery feel. I can't wait to get to it. It's been on my TBR for so long because I've been trying to catch up on other stuff. And this coming week, guys, I should close out spooky season, wrapping that up to clear my way for Kagan the Damned in the future. And I know, I told you that I was not going to have a book haul this month because I had such a massive, unbelievable birthday. My friends and family were too good to me. And anyone that saw that massive September book haul could totally understand why a normal thinking person would not be buying more books. But I'm not normal, and I can turn off my thinking mechanism just enough because I love books that much. So I have a few. So I'm not going to do a haul. But I have a few new books I had to get that I'm happy to show you now on the Sunday wrap-up that came in this week. And first off, come on now. I had to do this. I had to do this. Michael R. Miller was the first indie author that was such a brave soul, would ask me if he could be interviewed by me. Had no idea what kind of interviewer I would be. I have no idea what kind of interviewer I am yet either. And he just said, hey, if you want to interview me, I'd love to come on your show. I was so touched by this. He was such an amazing gentleman. I was so thrilled that we could link our times together. He's in the UK, and I could talk about the Ascendant trilogy. I had read the first book of that. And he had his first trilogy, which gave him his career, he says, the Dragon's Blade trilogy, coming from Broken Binding. This has never had a physical release before. This was only ebook, and Broken Binding came through for him, and this is the first Broken Binding order I've ever done, and I could be bitten, guys. This is gorgeous. And I mean, just look at the naked hardcover. What a beautiful job they did for Michael R. Miller here. But how could I not get this? How could I not get this when he was the first person on the channel to be interviewed by me? So I absolutely had to get this, and it came in from Broken Binding, and I was so thrilled. So I know I said I'm buying no more. There's no haul. There's no haul. I'm not buying any more books this month. But come on now, you guys voted for my birthday read, and it was so amazing. And I'm going to continue the Warlord Chronicles starting next month. So I have to start thinking about putting my December read list together, which means I got to have the third of the trilogy on deck and ready. Excalibur by Bernard Cornwell. I found a great deal on it, used hardcover that I wanted to get in. So I'm all primed and ready to wrap up this trilogy in December. I had to. It had to happen. It's proper prior planning for my read coming in the future. It's not that I have a problem and can't stop buying books. That's not the case. And again, I'm planning for the future here. I'm starting Sun Eater Saga next month, right? I'm going to love it. Everyone tells me I'm going to love it. And I would have no reason to disbelieve all these fine people. So thinking forward into December, for my December read, after I read Empire of Silence in November, I want to have The Lesser Devil on deck ready to go. So I had to get that in. I had to. It's not that I have a problem. Again, and there's no problem. I don't have a problem. I have no book buying problems here. So and after that, now this Ryan Skeffington was nice enough just to send me his book, Lost Souls. This is kind of a thin one. I think I have a really, I'm thinking about Christmas chonkers. I'm thinking about holiday chonkers for all my reads in December. So I needed a few thinner things to slide in. So I'm thinking this might fit the bill perfectly for my self-published read in December because it doesn't look like it's crazy thick. And it sounds like it's a fun space opera. And I do love those. So thank you so much, Ryan, for sending this to me. I'm thinking that it is on my December pile, and I will be happy to let you know what I think of it. And then, guys, I haven't gamed in a while, but there was no way. It's in the book, but there was no way I couldn't pick this up. Huge comics fan. Let me tell you, a comics fan that I used to co-own a comic book store. That's the level of comic fan I am. So the first one of these games I absolutely love. The 0.5 smaller game in the middle, absolutely loved. I can't imagine I'm not going to love this one as well. I have not even plugged it into my PS5 to get it all booted up and ready to play. Hopefully I'll be doing that tonight. But I haven't been doing that, and I can't wait to start it, but I haven't started it, and I haven't even put it in and booted it up because of Mr. Farnsworth. I started reading that when I thought I was going to boot it up, and I just started turning pages for a bit, and then my window to boot it up before I had something else to do was gone. So I blame Mr. Farnsworth in his book Reunion. And what else did I have to do that pulled me away? Let me tell you guys, here's a little bit of channel news for you. I had to go upstairs with my son, who is everything tech guru on this channel with me. I'm just the talking face hole, and I went upstairs with him, and we opened up a couple cans of paint, and we started working on the actual studio area for Talking Story. Everything going forward. This is the last Sunday weekly reader check-in that we will be in this location. And this is a lovely location. My books are behind me, but let me give you a little bit of secret information about my Fortress of Solitude. This is my wife's office. My books are behind my wife's desk. This is not my desk. This is my wife's desk. And every Sunday after I sit at her desk, my books, these are my books. They live here in this room, just happens to be in my wife's office because that's where the shelves are. And this is her desk. So every Sunday after this, my wife has to come in with the sage and do the smudge burning and the chanting and everything to get all of the hulking ogre husband juju out of her work area and her room to set it back to the perfectly balanced work area that she needs to do her very important work. So I'm getting out of my wife's office. And anytime you see me with a green screen behind me, that's my work location. And we put a green screen up behind me. I have to take a quick break during the day, maybe a lunch break or something like that. If I got to make a video, and I'll jump in front of that green screen and we'll put a video together for you. But we have traveled far enough down the road together, you and I and my son, to where we're making a home, we're making a place, we're making a man cave studio for everything going forward for Talking Story. And I think we will be in there 100%. Everything from here on out that comes towards you probably by Wednesday or Thursday of this week. So very exciting channel news. We're very excited. My son ordered in, the tech wizard ordered in lights and all kinds of different things. So I'm just trying to stay out of his way. So that's some very exciting channel news for you. This week on the channel, we had some great things. I got my Holly review up by Stephen King. It would not be a spooky season if I did not read some Stephen King, and he had a new book out, so it worked out perfectly. What else did we get? Oh, we got our interview with Tori Tekken from Tori Talks and the writer of Phased. We got our interview. If you have not had a chance, and I know that's a little bit longer video, so it's kind of hard sometimes to find the time to watch that. But wow, what a crazy, super cool lady. Awesome artist, great writer. I really enjoyed Phased. That was part of my spooky season reads as well. And I just love spending the time with her and talking about her artist journey. If you have not checked out that interview, check it out on the channel. It went up this week, and it was so much fun that Tori has invited me over onto her channel. Coming up this week, I will be on the Motley Crew talking, just talking, dishing the booktube dirt. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. I have no idea. I'm going in kind of blind, so I can't wait. Coming up this week, I will not have a review for you because I lost track of time, and there were two lists that I wanted to get out for you this spooky season. One of them is my favorite all-time horror reads, top 10. That will be coming at you on Tuesday. And the other list I wanted to get to you is my favorite all-time top 10 horror series. We don't think about horror series very often like we do with epic fantasy, but there are some great ones out there, and I wanted to make those two top 10 lists for spooky season. So I'm almost out of time. It's our last full week of spooky season, so I will have both of those coming your way as long as there is breath in my body. I will have both those lists coming your way, and I will also be on with Tori Thursday night. So head over to her channel and check that out. Who knows what we'll talk about. And above and beyond that, I kind of think TV wise, I've only got a couple episodes left in Good Omen season 2. It's, those two guys make it fun. It's kind of like the first season truly was a great adaptation of Sir Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman's book together. Season 2 really strikes me as it's kind of like a book of short stories of how Crowley and Aziraphale have built this relationship over all these years, and it's kind of just different time periods of their relationship going forward and how they built that, and it's fun. I don't know if I don't think I'm enjoying it as much as season 1 when they had that plotting of one of my favorite books, The Secret Prophecies of Agnes Nutter, one of my favorites. So am I enjoying it? Absolutely. I don't believe I'm enjoying it as much as the first season. I wrapped up the adaptation of The Changeling, Victor LaValle's The Changeling, and read the book. Read the book. It's got some moments. It has some high points. It started a little rough for me. Then I thought it was kind of hitting a groove. And then they could have done... I think there's another season coming because they didn't wrap up the book. And I don't understand. With 8 episodes, they could have wrapped up the book. And I just have some other problems. They really tried to go visually experimental with some different ways of filmmaking to tell the story. And what I loved so much about Victor's book is that it was the concrete nature of New York City and our world where a dark fantasy was bleeding through. And as we go somewhat experimental in this visual medium of TV, it became somewhat not as concrete or easy to follow exactly the story that was being told. I just think they whiffed on the ball a little bit for me. So I would say pick up the amazing book, The Changeling by Victor LaValle, and give that a read. And what's coming up next for me, TV-wise, I will absolutely, as soon as I finish wrapping that up, I will start The Fall of the House of Usher because I'm hearing just too many great things about it. So that's what will be next for me. And that's kind of it, guys. I hope your week was as great. Are you playing Spider-Man? Are you not? Do you have a PS5? Do you not? What are you playing? What are you reading? Was your reading week as great as mine? I hope it was. If you're tuned into BookTube, you should have so many great recommendations because people like you hit me up with the best recommendations. Keep them coming. I love the comments. You know this. I respond right away if at all possible because I love it when I get comments. So hit me up with comments. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, hit that little thumb, subscribe so you can come back around. We meet up every Sunday right around this time, and we talk about what we've done this week, what we're doing next week as far as reading goes and other things like that. So it's kind of a cool place to hang out, and I love you guys being a part of it, and I will see you Tuesday with a top 10 list. Thank you so much. My name is John Minton. Thanks again for joining me here on Talking Story.